Yo, GM, what is good, everybody? GM, we'll get this underway in a couple of moments. Just sending out a few posts and notifications and whatnot, doing all that responsible host stuff. Take a quick look in the chat. Turn the music down too. Hey, what up, JJ? How are you, my good friend? Excuse me. Just give me a minute and we'll get this underway. How's everybody doing? It is Sunday. We just had the weekly close and the daily close. And I gotta say, we have been dialed the fuck in. Just 1 second, bear with me, lads. Woof! Banger. Yeah. Okay. Close up a bunch of windows so I can keep all necessary resources for the stream. What is up, everybody? It is your boy Rapture, back with another session of Scalp and Swing sessions, live perps trading and analysis. How is everybody doing on this Sunday evening? Getting a bit of a flush out just after or at the open. Yeah. First glance, weekly SFP, we had one last week, but this week is looking even more definitive after we tagged that high time frame monthly level we've had marked out. We'll get into all of that shortly though. I think the screen quality should be a little bit better than last time. I played around with some things, did a little bit of research to try and make the streams as smooth as possible so that the picture quality is crisp. Although I think for future streams, I'm gonna have to get onto a platform that I can do native 4K, get that crisp. Because we want to see those levels crisp, man, right? We want to see those levels crisp. Okay, I want to turn the music off so we can get into this. Share a different screen. What are we here to do today? Well, as I mentioned, if you're in the TG in the teaser post, the announcement post, and also on X, a couple of things we're going to look at today. So I've broken down the streams. I'm running two types of streams, right? I'm running a New York Open or shortly after the New York Open sessions, like morning sessions, New York Eastern Time morning AM sessions. Going to run 1 to 2 of those per week where our focus is on low time frame trading entries, low time frame entries and execution. And then these PM, these after the daily close sessions, and probably going to use these Sunday slots because I do like doing my weekly my weekly macro dashboard, as you can see, is listed here. I run them every week, either Sunday night or Monday morning. So I figured might as well just run them live so we can get a sense of what we might have in store for the week ahead. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to look at our daily closes and our weekly closes on BTC, on ETH, on SOL. And if any requests from that perspective, high time frame come in, maybe we'll get to them. But the point of these nighttime shows isn't really for chart requests. It's more so we can map out our levels so that for the days ahead, we know where we want to be looking to do business, right? You guys, I'm sure by now, anyone that's has joined a few times now recognizes that I'm all about interactions off of high time frame levels. Your H4 and above. Really, H4 is the switching point for me between high time frame and low time frame. Below H4, that's all low time frame. That's my execution and entry and exit time frames, where I'm looking for the low time frame to realign with my high time frame bias. Well, high time frame is H4 and above. That's your H4, H12 daily, weekly, and monthly. And they're just guides. They're not a reason to take a trade. They're a initial signal to tell you, hey, pay the fuck attention right now because we're into a level that we were looking to do business. Now let's see if we get some of that low time frame action, that low time frame price action, getting us interested and wanting to take the trade. So that's what we're going to do today. High time frame levels and strategy for the days ahead. We'll look at BTC, ETH, and SOL. I want to keep today's session to 1 hour. There's no reason for these to be going longer. I want to try and tighten them up because I respect everyone's time, and I do realize that the longer they drag on, I'm going to lose a lot of your attention and focus. So we're going to try and get this one down to an hour. Now for the daytime shows, the live trading sessions, we can run those so long as we get some action and trades to take, right? I'm playing around with a couple different ideas of how I might provide updates into the moment when something comes up. Like maybe it's just once a level of mine hits, I pop on for, even like 10 minutes just to outline my strategy when we're getting into those levels. Okay. Everyone's clear on what we're going to run through. Nothing crazy, just what I do at the end of each week. Get ready for the days ahead. So what do we have here? Well, we've got our BTC weekly chart. All right, we looked at all those weekly SFPs last Friday, I want to say, is when we looked at those, and we were marking out our high time frame levels. Well, what do we have here? Weekly SFP, not ideal, not great, right? We had one last week, but it was just the tip of the wick. Well, now we've had a full-blown proper weekly SFP right into, as I mentioned at the top of the show, that monthly level out of this monthly range. It's a bullish monthly range, but we're finding resistance right at that midpoint, right exactly at a level that I've had marked for over a year. Right? That's the importance of high time frame levels, right? It really, you're not putting them there thinking, hey, I'm going to have to use these anytime soon. You're putting them there that when price interacts there at some point in the future, if or when it does, you have a framing for what you're looking for. Like if price just got here and you didn't have that level there, you would have no fucking reason or clue, right, per se, of why you might find resistance there and a pullback. This is a natural spot to me for that recent up leg to pull back. What I don't love, right? So what do we have here? We have our weekly range marked out with our range quarters. We have this week that we've been trading inside week now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're into our 9th week inside of this week. And when price was getting up here, everyone was getting fucking bullish. But I saw this fucking wick up into here into our 2 high time frame levels that I have had marked out for a very long time, right? Like this inside week situation has been marked out for over 2 months. Right? That's the importance of these high time frame levels. That's why I keep stressing, and I will continue to press upon the fact that you mark out your high time frame levels before anything else. They are your guiding lines in the sand, right? I know a lot of analysts and traders use that phrase line in the sand. Well, it is a guiding level. So weekly SFP, don't fucking love that. Go to daily. Let's see what we have here. Now daily, this is what we marked out after this daily close, right? I posted, I was like, this box is where I'm looking for the higher low. So don't love the weekly SFP. That's this price action here. But on daily, I'm looking for the higher low to take place here. And look at this level that's been marked out since 9 days ago, right? High time frame levels. I'm just going to keep fucking saying it. High time frame levels. Level that's been marked out for about 9 days. Well, look at where price dead stopped, right? It also happens to be one of our weekly range quarters. You know, like I have conversations with traders about just trying to push them to mark out their high time frame levels. And this is exactly why. Well, you know what? I forgot to share this in one spot. Give me one quick second. One quick second. I'm not going to lose my train of thought. Apologies about that. Okay. Just have to share some with a couple of my friends. This is the thing about when you go and do these streams and you post more, right? Like you got to remember all these places that you're supposed to be staying on top of things. And sometimes, oh geez, I didn't change the screen. Fuck sakes. Fuck sakes. Okay. Let's wheel that back then. Jesus. Thanks, good lads in the chat. Okay. Let's wheel this back. Let's wheel this back. Apologies about that. I completely did not hit share screen. So you guys were looking at my text wondering what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's wheel that back then. Okay. So here we are again. Our high time frame view, right? Monthly. This is what I was talking about here. This is the weekly SFP that I was talking about right here. Apologies about that, lads. That was a massive F. So weekly SFP level here into that monthly level of interest had marked out for over a year. On the weekly, we have our weekly range with our range quarters mapped out. On top of that, we've got this weekly candle that we've been inside week now for 8 and now into our 9th week trading inside of that week. And when we came up into here, this is where I was talking about when we pushed up into here and got that rejection, everyone's getting super bullish here, but it's just the reactions that you're looking for. What does price do there? That's what we like. It's not, you're not using these levels to say it has to do this. You're using those levels to say, well, if I see some reaction from price that would suggest to me to take a trade in the opposite direction, that's what I'm looking for. We pop down to daily. Okay, so here we go. We're back on track. So on daily, this is that zone that I've had marked out, that I've said I want the higher low to form on daily. Even though we've had that weekly SFP, well, we came down into our daily area of demand and we tagged this level here that's been marked out for 9 days. Right? If you're in the Telegram, you've seen that level marked out. I think we even marked that level out on our last live stream. I probably highlighted that. And look at where price came right into, right? Into that daily level. That's why we mark these out, right? It's like you see there's other ones here. I'm not just using them to say, hey, as soon as price gets there, I'm taking a trade. It's no. If or when price gets to one of those levels, I'm looking for the interactions, right? And then you're on low time frame to see what's taking place. In terms of daily, like this is where I want to see the higher low form, right around here, right? I've shared with some friends, like I'm looking for 92 to 94K region. Well, that's exactly where price dead stopped. You come down to H12, take a look and see if there's some new levels that we might want to mark out. Nothing on H12 except this. Now what I'll do, I'll start shifting some things around because this level did what it did its job, but now we've got this level here as the next area. So what I do is I just move those over a bit. We've adjusted that H12 level to there. Nothing changed in here. Would I mark that out? Probably not, because it's already a level that's been marked. That's the weekly, right? That level right there is that weekly SFP level. So there we have H12. Let's see about H4. So this was the long we took. Was it Thursday or Friday? Friday. That's Friday. Shared. This is the entry I'm looking for long. And then yesterday, took the exit there. And look at that. Right? This is why you mark your levels. I think now I'd probably eliminate that one just to clean things up. I don't like it being too cluttered, but for now, this is the levels that I see on BTC. So we've had our initial reaction here at that 92K. What we're watching for is this to hold. We can do a quick look onto lower time frame. See, now this is a nasty bit of price action, right? So like to look for the market structure break on M15 even, like it's all the way up there. That's useless for us, right? So maybe what I'd say is get an M15 close above here. Or like this would be your low time frame. It would be a market structure shift and not a market structure break, but this is where I would be looking for if it closes above there to get into the next long, right? Like if you didn't have your levels marked out and price got down here, you're like, what the hell's going on? Well, you got to zoom out and start looking around, see what's there. Levels we've had marked. Let's even look on M5. Yeah. The market structure break level's all up there. So I would be watching this level here. I feel like we're probably going to form a range here. And ideally, even, you get this H4 candle closes, another one, and then tomorrow sometime we get an SFP off there. That would be the next best long if this wasn't already taken, right? Everybody clear? Okay, I'm looking in the chat. Why that daily candle instead of the previous one before the breakout where you marked the wick? You talking about here? Just looking in the chat. Is this what you're talking about? A sale? I'm probably butchering your name. Apologies if I did. But is this the daily wick you're talking about? Well, what I do is I look for swing points. That's the basis of how I trade is I'm going from swing to swing level to swing level, and ideally with SFPs off them. And you can see how this level was important, right? We got that SFP there, and then you close through it. Well, there's a couple things that I view this region as, right? Like this can be your classic. This is a classic order block, right? An order block style demand zone. And it's just outlining the order block style demand. But I'm really interested in swing levels, especially high time frames. So H4 and above swing levels are the levels that I look for interactions. You're saying why instead of the previous one before the breakout, like over here, this cluster? If you're still with me. Okay, so that's BTC. Everyone clear on that? Like we're into an area where I was expecting the pullback and the next potential swing to come from. The thing that is a little conflicting is the fact that we've put in this weekly SFP and a very definitive one, right? Like last week was just the tip. Now we got a full into that monthly level. And that inside weekly high. So that is this is a strong signal here, but I still lean towards this wants to go higher, whether that's just an intraday long, right? Like maybe we just get another move up into here before a bloomp. I don't know, right? Like I don't like to predict at all. I just like to mark levels and wait for the interactions. It just seemed logical to me that this would be where in this area of demand that I drew out, right? And this is your range low, this is your range high on daily, range low to range high, right? That's your swing low to swing high that made a higher high close above the previous range high. So this was the logical area or the higher probability area to target. And that was just a swing level that I had marked out, right? It could have came to this one. It could have just came to this level and found the low, but the price didn't tell you that that's where it wanted to go, right? And for anyone that's a good solid reason why not to try and catch knives on these things, and you at least wait for the low time frame turn, as I was just pointing out, right? Like on M5, there was no price action to tell you, right? Like this is not enough of a reason to take a position. There's zero reason here. So whoever was buying this was spraying and praying, right? Like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, right? We just mark out a level. See how that level got zero interaction. So now what I do, given that that level gave nothing, this one here, I'm gonna get rid of that level now because it doesn't mean anything to me now, right? Because price sliced right through it. It sliced through it twice. So at one point it was a key level. Well, now it's no longer, right? And that's how we go about eliminating levels as well, so that you're not just constantly having a million lines in your chart. But for right now, I do think that an intraday low is forming here. I do think that an intraday low is forming here. Now, if we had my low time frame screen up, my scalping screen, my intraday trading screen, this would have been giving me all kinds of signal, right? Like the market bubbles and everything here. Okay. Let me switch my screen again. I'm just going to share this for a quick second. We're not going to use the low time frame stuff today, but as price came down in here, you're starting to get those market bubbles. Actually, not as high of a concentration of market bubbles. Like, see here, we had larger. Let me just make sure the right screen is showing. Yes. Up here, we had larger aggressive market selling here. But, and here as well, but here was premature, right? It didn't quite get to that weekly level. If we had gotten those here into this level with a nice SFP, then that might have been a reason to take a long. This is the M1, right? Like this is low time frame. But once it came down here into this level, right? Like that other level that I deleted. Hold on 1 second. Let me go back and put that level back. Where was it? Okay. So see how price came into here, this level here? This was that level that I just deleted. You've got a bubble there, but no interaction, and you just sliced right through it. So I have zero reason to take this trade. But you come down into here, you get this bubble, and then you get this sort of reaction. This is what you're looking for. Now, and also the high relative volume, right? We spoke about last stream that these colored bars, right? This is high relative sell volume, well then high relative buy volume. Enough to stop it dead in its tracks. But if you don't have your high time frame levels marked out and you're just seeing price do this randomly, you have no reason, you have no real reason to understand why. All right, but we got that and then, came in and SFP'd the weekly level. So like, I really do just want to press that into your brains. Get in the habit of marking out these high time frame levels. Okay, let's come back to the step. So everyone's sort of clear on BTC there. Like I think this is where the intraday, the next. If you didn't catch that bottom, I do think a setup forms here, and it might be similar to what we spoke about last session, where I was talking about I want that break and then a retest with potentially an M5 SFP into this box. But if you're not in this trade now, I'm not taking this trade here because there's nothing here saying to me yet that this is a trade, right? Like you haven't even had an M5 SFP in here. Yes, we had this one off that weekly level, but I want to see it SFP one of these candles. And ideally, close above there. So, what might that look like? Well, you might get some more chop around. And then you get a close above here, comes back down, comes down, does something like this, right? And what I'd be looking for to enter on is an SFP like that, right? Like you get an M5 SFP there, enter off the close, put your stop below here, or if you want to go super tight, you put your stop here as the next entry. Now, the beauty of doing this, right? Like I look for signal within signal. And we're not going to spend too much time here on this low time frame because it's really not the point here, but I just want to show you what I might be looking for. The beauty of this, if you get this sort of entry, is if it starts to trade against you, well, you know that ultimately your trade is invalidated here, but you can also get out here for minimal loss and just take the next setup as it forms, right? Like I put out a post the other day about the strategy that I use and how I view it and why that tagline of process, patience, execution is what I sort of frame. One second. No, we're on the right screen. Okay. That process, patience, execution is the strategy that I employ. All right. Let me see. 1 second. 1 second. Un momento, por favor. Sorry for that, for anyone that speaks that language. That was a butchering. Here. The strategy I approach for any trade is process, patience, execution. And I break that down. Process is the signal that I get from the high time frame level. Like I'm waiting for that signal. That's my process, right? So our SFPs or interactions into those high time frame levels. Then the patience part is waiting for the secondary setup, right? I'm looking for a low time frame market structure break or market structure shift like we were just looking at. And then the final component, I'm looking for that low time frame trigger, which is that last thing I was talking about, where I look for after an MSB or market structure shift, some type of setup within that box, be it an M5 SFP, an M15 SFP, an H1 SFP, an M1 SFP. I really do love SFPs. I will take on that moniker of the SFP guy because I really fucking love SFPs. They're my bread and butter. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back over here. Okay. So is everyone kind of clear on BTC, right? Like we're at a level of interest. Now we want to see this hold, ideally over the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 H4 candles. We get a little basing format and we get an H4 SFP into here. Because this trade, to me, at the moment, like, yes, this could turn into proper intraday or a proper swing, but this component of this trade is done. And now it really could go either way. Like this was an aggressive sell-off. But if you don't have those high time frame levels out, once price gets there, you're kind of like, you don't want to be a deer in the headlights. You want to have those there so that once price gets there and you see something you're looking for, then you respond. I'm looking for those interactions. Okay. That's BTC. Let's move it along to ETH. Here we've got monthly. Oh, look at where ETH came up into that monthly mid-range, been marked out. Well, we talked about that BTC level being for years. Well, this is years that this has been a range. Let's go to weekly. Okay, so this is a little bit more constructive than BTC, right? Because we put in let me get rid of that. We closed above that inside week, right? So ETH is definitely stronger. I can tell right off the bat that when we go to the macro dashboard, that ETH BTC is going to be looking not too bad. So we've put in, we're no longer inside this week. We've come back and sort of retagged that, but we're going to leave those levels for now. I don't want to get too ambitious and delete those weekly levels just yet. Okay, so we had that market structure break on ETH on daily back on the 13th. We can put our range high up here now. Just haven't, I've been focused so much on BTC, to be honest with you, that I don't always go through and update the levels. But look at, we talk about having those levels marked out. It's been marked out for a while. Look at exactly where it came and stopped, and into this area of demand that we marked out, I believe, during our last stream, or it might have been last Friday. It might have been last Friday, a week ago Friday. No, because that wouldn't have been possible. So we marked this out on our stream on Thursday. All right, and we've come down. We haven't quite tagged the demand, but we took out that level that I had marked. All right. I'm going to keep talking about marking out your levels. Let's go to H12, see if there's anything we can adjust here. So I would have, if I was monitoring ETH more closely, I would have marked out this level because it was an H12 swing low, right? I don't think it's important now, given the way that prices responded since. We can now change this to an internal swing level on H12, right? Like I would have had this marked if I was monitoring ETH more closely, right? And then this would have been a good intraday trade, or even just a few days, right? I guess we can put that level though, because it was important, and we'll see if on a bounce, if that becomes important in the future, one of those two levels, but I think it might be that one. We have a level here, but I think if price gets all the way up here, we're looking for an interaction up here, so I don't really want to bother about that. And go to H4. Got a lot of lines going on here. Okay. Was that the H12 level? No, that's an H4 level. I think we can get rid of that now. This is our H12 level. Not much more I'd mark out here. This is where you're looking for now for the next long. We want it to come back down. Like if you're, we're not on board this trade at the moment. So what would I look for? Similar thing to what we're looking for on BTC, right? Now it's interesting. Look, after it bounced off there, it came right up into that weekly range quarter level. It's quite magic that these levels just work, but they do, right? Like I wouldn't use them if they don't. That's the key thing, right? Like anytime I'm drawing a level on the chart, it's because I know their importance on a historical perspective, and not per se that specific level, but the way that I mark things out. All right, this is one of our weekly range quarter levels. And by the way, when I talk about weekly range quarters, they're really easy to do. All right, it's just you grab your fib. Hold on one second. Let me just get this out of the way so you can take a look. You grab your fib, and I just have them set as quarters. It's really that simple. 0, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1. They're not in order here. It's just you don't have to put them in order. They'll just show up that way. Add them with extend lines, right? Because I want them to extend out to the future. Vary on a color that I use for high time frames, so weekly and monthly levels. This gray. And I don't like to have any markings, no price, no levels. I just want to see the line. I don't care what the fucking price is. I care about price action. That is the most important thing to me, price action off levels, but I don't care about what price anything is. It doesn't matter what price it is, right? You're just trading each different leg of the market, right? Market goes up, market goes down. We just want to try and catch as many of those as possible and be directionally right. And that's why the high time frame levels matter. And that's it, right? That's how you mark out those range quarters. It's super easy. You just set it up, create a template for it, right? Like I have a few different templates. I have where did that go? Oh, you know why? Because it's probably set to the wrong time frame. A high, low, mid would just be that line, and that line. I have a few other. I'm a big fan of using template. Anything that I can save me time, but to be honest with you, the only fib that I use these days is the range quarters. Okay, so coming back over here into our level. Okay. What I don't love, actually, this is something that I should go back to the BTC chart and take a look at. We had this H12 SFP here. We also now have a bearish H4 breaker, right? So my viewpoint would be, you're looking for a long here. I'm pretty sure the next thing that happens is you get a rejection somewhere in here. We can actually go back to BTC because as well no, we didn't actually get, okay. So a little bit cleaner PA from that perspective on, oh, okay. Other than, okay, we did have this. This was an H4 bearish breaker, right? And look at exactly where it came into, right? Now, maybe we'll leave that up because perhaps that becomes important. Off this bounce, maybe this is where the next rejection comes from. I may actually just do this, right? And then look for the interaction there. But for now, we're looking for a long here. Everyone still following along with me? Let's take a look. Oh, it says we've got 110 people with us. What's up, everybody? I know that the X algo and the way they push things out inflates numbers a little bit just based off of people scrolling it on the timeline. But if you are with us, what is up, everybody? Thank you for joining. Appreciate the love. How's everybody been enjoying these streams? How's everybody been enjoying the return? Is it easy to follow along with what I'm doing? Are you grasping the way that I'm approaching things? Does it make sense? Do you agree with how I view things? I mean, that's the beauty of trading, right? Like, you don't have to agree with how I do it at all. You can have your own process and system. This is just what works for me, right? And I took a lot of time to get to this stage. A lot of practice, a lot of years. Okay, we'll come back to ETH. So high likelihood or high probability that we trade up and reject out of there, but that's for the next move. I don't try to do that. Let's just figure out what the fuck's going to happen here. We're looking for the long here. And as I was saying, similar to BTC, we don't even have a market structure, a potential market structure. Actually, here on M5, I don't love M5 for a daily level, I'll be honest. And similar to how we were looking at looking for that interaction on BTC on low time frame, I can show you what that would look like on ETH. Let me share this tab instead. Here we are on M15. Well, large market sells, slice through a level, large market sell. Right? Yes, there was one here that ended up failing, but that's why we don't just knife catch, right? Like, there are times where I'll just catch a trade like that, but that's scalping. I'm not looking for, but this isn't, I wouldn't even classify this as a scalp. That was nothing, right? But get those large market sells into those levels, right? We can take a look and see what that looked like on M1, right? So you get your M15 large market sell, M1 wicking the level a couple times. I do think that we're going to revisit some of these lows, like on ETH and BTC, and we'll take a look at SOL in a second. And these moving averages need to start compressing, and we need to start getting above them. But if you're starting to look for low time frame stuff, you're starting to get an M5 SFP into here. But that's just scalping, right? Like I'm not talking about basing a intraday or a swing off of that. We need that secondary signal, right? Which we haven't had yet. Let's come back over to here. Okay, in the chat, Proximal V. The streams are very high quality. Well, I appreciate that. Probably best explanations that I've seen. But I don't make money, not because of you, but because of me. Either get stopped out or the win is not big enough. I mean, been there, 100% been there, you know. In regards to getting stopped out, you really placing a stop is it's a precision business, right? Because you want it to be tight enough that your risk to reward, your potential risk to reward is worth it, but you also want it to be where the trade is wrong and where the setup is invalidated. I'll be honest. When I'm trading, getting my low time frame entries, I'm using manual stops, meaning that if I see price action that I don't like, I will stop myself out before. So here, let's take a look here on ETH. Like, say the second leg of this had set up, and you had a setup. Your stop would go below here, this wick here, because that's where this framing, right? We don't have the market structure shift or market structure break yet, but that's where this framing, this particular setup, had we, like, say you get a close up here, right? And then you come back down into here, your trade would be framed around this, right? You got the close, you get a close above on like M5 or M15, you frame it around here. The trade is invalidated down here. Now, and that is a perfectly acceptable and commonly used way to place a stop. For myself lately, because I am low time frame entering and executing, I use a manual stop. I know I don't. It's an advanced way of going about it, and I don't recommend it unless you are confident enough and you're monitoring the market actively to be able to get yourself out of the position if it starts to go against you, right? And what I would do is if I get my trigger, like say we've had this, and then in here we get like an M5 SFP after it's closed above this box. Hypothetical so far. If I get an M5 SFP, I'm taking the close off the SFP and monitoring. And if we start to lose that level within this area, I get out and then I wait for the next signal. But ultimately, where the trade is wrong is down here. If you close through here, if you like, I don't really recognize your handle. I think you were with us last stream. Actually, I do recognize because you were here last stream, but over a longer period. As these streams progress and I do them more frequently, you'll start to see like the layered approach that I look for in trading, and it for me has dramatically reduced being a drawdown and has led to consistency. And that's why I've designed this strategy that I use now. It was just from wanting to eliminate drawdown as much as possible. You can't eliminate all drawdown, and if you think you can, you're crazy. Like you're going to be in drawdown at times in trading. But it was to give myself very clean entries and be able to have flexibility. Or the win is not big enough. Now, that could be a couple things. That could be either you're just not targeting high enough, or it could be that as soon as you get into profit because you've been stopped out, so because you get stopped out a lot, that you're like, oh, I'm in profit, I need to close out. That may just be a psychological and emotional component that you have to work through, like the U in trading, the U component. And believe me, brother, we've all been through that. So stick around. These streams aren't going anywhere, and I'll be relaying a lot of this and repeating a lot of the same concepts. And see how, so here, we haven't had a market structure shift even, let alone a market structure break. So there is no trade unless you took this trade. That trade is done to me. Next, you're looking for the next setups to take place. And why I like SFPs is as a signal and execution entry, not the setup itself, but the signal and execution components, right? The top level and then the low level signals for trading for me is because it gives you somewhere to frame your trade around. Keep in touch though. We can chat some more. Okay, let's move along. So everyone got it. I mean, on ETH, yeah, there's not much more to say here. I really think that what's going to happen is we're going to chop around here for a bit, and then we get tomorrow morning or sometime tomorrow another SFP, but off of this candle, and that's the framing to take along. You know, it may be in the middle of the, well, let's see. This candle closes in 2 hours and change. That brings us to 11 Eastern, and then we have the 3 a.m. So maybe it's even the 7 a.m. candle before the New York Open that you get an SFP, or maybe it's into the New York session, right? Like I can't predict that. But as of right now, like I don't see anything here. Nothing here is telling me to take a trade other than this trade. Okay, let's take a look at Solana now. Right, high time frame levels. Look at where we're holding on monthly. Let's check out weekly. So Sol weekly SFP'd, not great, and already dumped a lot after that SFP. Really, ETH is the one that's looking strongest, which makes me a little cautious. Little cautious. Proximal, thank you. Yeah, no problem, man. Not a problem at all. That's what we're here for. And I appreciate you showing up and I appreciate your questions. And yeah, just don't give up. Keep sticking to it. And eventually it starts to click. I know that's, you know, from the other side, it may seem like it's easy to say that, but I've been in that position. And it took me time to figure it out. Believe me. Believe me. And I'm still figuring it out. Like I'm in the like at a stage of my trading career now where I'm just constantly trying to improve my execution. You know, I'm not a robot. I still succumb to the me element, the human element. Well, that's why I am always working on execution because it can always be a little bit better. Okay, so Sol, weekly SFP'd. That monthly level was the local bottom. Let me take a look at daily. Okay, now this, oh, what just happened? Okay. I don't love this because we're already getting follow through off the weekly SFP. And if this closes daily or even H12 below here, well, then we've got a high time frame bearish breaker off the weekly SFP. And that is very high signal, right? Like H4 SFP tiny and then it shoved down. Very likely that this closes below on H4, right? So I'm more, because it's a daily level. Let's just zoom in here for a second. I just want to see something. Yeah, so it did. The daily yesterday did close as an SFP, but it's clearly below it now. And this is why you want that layered process. From it's your signal, your setup, and then your execution. Well, that SFP would have been signal, but then was there a setup after that? No. How can I know that even just by looking at this? Well, nothing to go off on H1 there. And on a daily level, I don't really look at anything below H1 or sometimes M15, but there was no PA here to say, no price action here to say that this level is going to hold, right? Like There's no not even an M1 market structure break there, right? So what concerns me about Solana? More so than, well, BTC doesn't concern me at the moment, and ETH does not concern me at the moment, just based off their high time frame situation. This on Solana concerns me. Yes, okay, so we're getting. No, okay. You're like, you may be like, well, why did you not have this level marked out beforehand? Well, once the range changed, right? This was the range low to range high, bullish daily range. Once that took place, beyond the range becomes less of a focus for me. But clearly, should have had that level marked out regardless. But we can see the weekly range quarter level there, right? Like, see that gray level, the weekly range quarter level there. So that's been there. And we do have that level that it's SFPing. But even if this daily closes at like, okay, we're only 2 hours into the day. A lot of time to repair this. What I'll be monitoring for most though is tomorrow morning when I wake up, I check the H12 candle close at 7 a.m. Eastern. If this is below here, then this whole region here becomes a bearish H12 breaker off of a weekly SFP. And that is some of the highest quality, high time frame trade signal. Right? This was your swing low that created the wick of the H12 SF, or sorry, the wick of the weekly SFP. This is our weekly level here that got SFP. This is the swing low, created the wick of the weekly SFP. Market structure break. If this closes below here, looking pretty likely, even the H4, which closes in 2 hours, looking unlikely it's going to get back up there, but it's possible, it's not impossible. But this is not great for Solana. I'm just going to tell it like it is. This is not great for Solana. But as for an intraday, like a move up, so when I mark this out, what does that mean? This is where I'd be looking for the higher low. So if/when price makes its way up into there, especially if you get that close below on this candle, this H12 candle closes below here, this is where I'd be looking for, something like this to happen. Right? What was this? This is, right? This would be an H12 SFP, an H4 SFP. Who knows? I can't predict that part. That's the patience component of it and monitoring levels for what happens. Maybe it's something like that. We don't know what's going to happen yet. No way of knowing. It's just where the probability is and what I look for when we get there. And that is what I would be looking for. So this is not great. If you're a Solana bull, this is not great. It probably doesn't bode well for the bit of on-chain resurgence that's been happening on Solana as well in the trenches recently. Probably if Solana shits the bed here, it's probably not going to be great for it. Let's be honest. And I question whether all those all the devs that came out of the woodwork when Solana got hot again to extract, there are legit things. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, once Solana gets hot in the trenches, then you get all the scammer devs coming out. Well, I just wonder if this pronounced sell-off is all the rug pulls that occurred dumping their Solana, right? Like that's how you get those extended moves like that, right? They see BTC showing a little bit of weakness. They're like, well, fuck, I'm gonna cut and maximize my profits, right? But I digress. Put this way. Not much more to say here. This is where we're looking for the next long. Let's take a look on, okay. So it would be something similar, right? We don't have a like the market structure break would be all the way up here. This would be the market structure shift level on M15. This is what you're looking for, a close above, and then price action in here. Now, on some occasions, before getting that market structure shift or market structure break, I could also take a position if I got like an M15 SFP within here. Be great if it was an M15 candle and then an SFP of that candle through this weekly level would be a little bit cleaner for me. But that is another way to get on board these if you're trying to get on board sooner. I just don't know if there's a reason to want to get on board this soon. Like even M1, the market structure break levels all the way up here. And this just sort of gives me that feeling of slow chop until it comes down, possibly takes out that level again, right? Like, what do I keep saying on BTC and ETH as well? Maybe you get an H4 SFP off here after, 3 or 4 or 5, however many more candles here. And then there's your next more swing intraday type move. But then again, not then again, but then I would be looking for the short up here, in particular on Solana, not so much on BTC or ETH. Okay. So that's our high time frame levels. Everyone clear on that? We've approached an hour, but we still have the weekly macro dashboard to get through. I can get through that pretty quickly, though. Let's bring this back up. So we went through our daily close levels, marked out any new high time frame levels of importance on BTC, ETH, and SOL. We've come up with a strategy and plan for at least for tomorrow and a little bit for a few days from now, in particular on Solana, for a potential lower high setup. But we've come up with a plan for tomorrow, potentially, what we're looking for a next long on BTC, ETH, and SOL. Now it's just the patience game, right? Now you may say to yourself, maybe price starts to go up and you say to yourself, am I missing the move? Well, really what we're doing, we want price to come up. We wanted to get that market structure shift, close above the boxes on BTC, ETH, SOL, right? Give us those market structure shifts because we're not going to get a break unless you get an M15 or attached to the H or potentially H4 SFP, right? But if you get an M15 level for a market structure break, then we just shift and adapt to the price action as it's taking place. Maybe this is just a short. Who knows? Like I don't know at the moment, but I think I'm more looking for a long here across all three than I would be looking for a short now. But there is also, geopolitical bullshit taking place that maybe levels aren't going to matter at this moment in time. But I say that, but I've proven repeatedly today that the high time frame levels matter. If this, then that. Give me a close above here while this low is intact. That's your market structure shift level. Or you get some more M15 PA here that gives you a wick through here with a swing high here. Well, then we'd adjust. We have a new level that would be our market structure break, but we don't have that yet, right? It's if this, then that. For now, then if this would be if price gets an M15 close above here, market structure shift, then I'm looking for a pullback and some sort of signal to get along. If price comes down, keeps trading down, and SFP is this level here with a nice swing high somewhere here, then we have a new breaker that we're looking for a long off. Okay, that is BTC, ETH, and SOL. Everybody clear? Let us move this along. Let's go to my sure, we'll save them. Actually, let's go back. Go. It's my big three dashboard, BTC, ETH, and SOL. This is where I do my just clean levels analysis. Now we'll go to my weekly macro dashboard. Here we go. what is on my weekly macro dashboard? Well, we've got BTCD, which just shows us the dominance by market cap of Bitcoin in the market. You should all know that. This is total ES divided by BTC. What is ES? That's the total crypto market cap, excluding stablecoins, divided by BTC. We have the Dixie. We have ETH BTC, SOL BTC, and SOL ETH. So last week, when I posted my weekly macro dashboard, I said that I would focus on BTC. I also said that intraday movements on assets aren't what you're paying attention for, because this is a weekly dashboard. Let me move get that out of the way so that you guys can see a bit more. Because this is a weekly dashboard, these moves can take days or weeks to play out. Whoa, it's crazy. I'm watching I have a screen of the live open on X. It is crazy delayed. So if anyone's chatting or anything, it's probably why my responses come a little bit delayed. Okay. I said in the Telegram where I share the weekly dashboard, or when I remember to at least, I'm going to get better at doing that, but that I would focus on BTC, not so much on alts, and that ETH didn't look ready and Solana looked like shit. That's what I said. And I said it a little bit more, in a little bit nicer words than that, but that's what I said. But I did say that this could take days or weeks to play out, and that intraday isn't where you should be paying attention. And why am I bringing that up now? Well, because last week, alts went fucking crazy, right? BTC had a decent move, but alts went fucking crazy. But inevitably, majority of them have shot the bed. Like let's take a quick look. Let's take a look and see. Oof. It's a lot of red across the board. That doesn't mean that those moves that took place last week wasn't a lot of value to capture. But as I point out quite frequently, I am mostly focused on BTC right now because my read is really dialed, and I don't need to rely on some alts that went like 30-40% last week, which is a fucking lot. It's crazy. But because of the way that I trade, I can capture similar amounts of percents on my account by just trading the levels when I'm dialed in on BTC. And it's a much less stressful life, believe me. But in future streams, as these shows progress, I will get into more alts. Okay, so let's run through this really quick. BTCD last week, the 2 weeks ago, or after last week, which would have been in this candle, but after this close, I said we had an SFP on BTCD, a bullish one, into demand. And look at the follow through, right? What I see right now that I don't love is this potential, but we're 2 hours into the week, so take that with a grain of salt. But we had that follow through, right? The BTCD candle was somewhere here. Well, look at how we closed, right? I don't love this at the moment, but for now, it's too early to really give that much weight. Total ES, total crypto market cap, excluding stables, divided by BTC. This is my barometer for alt health. This is the total crypto market cap, excluding stable coins, divided by Bitcoin. It is my inverse read on BTCD. And we can see that, right? Bullish SFP to bearish SFP. Well, bearish SFP to bullish SFP. And after this close, I said, I think alts are going to be weaker. Now, we had pockets of outperformance, and obviously within the week, that would have been reflected if we go like here. We can take a look on lower time frame. Yeah, so this was that weekly bearish SFP. Well, this here is that alt outperformance. This here and this here, right? And when was this? This was on Monday and Tuesday. And that's when the market was getting kind of hot, right? This is, interesting to see that. This could signal that it's going to be back to alt outperformance. It's so early in the week, though, that I'm hesitant to even say that that is signal. We'll take a look in the morning to see what's taking place there. But we're getting a potential weekly, right? But this is a tightening range. What we don't want to see is this compress and then shit the bed. But when a range compresses, it could go either way. We're not here to predict. We're going to react when that takes place. So possible for alt outperformance over the coming days, especially with BTC doing that, but it's too early. I would be more interested to see what's taking place midday tomorrow. Dixie, just still chopping into a monthly level. Be great if we'd see this pull back and give us some breathing room, but Dixie correlation hasn't been too high to risk. ETH BTC, let's take a look. Still, I pointed out last week that this is just not ready. Well, I did say that the ETH chart looks strongest overall, so maybe this is going to finally start to break out, which we had a little bit of ETH strength against BTC last week, but it's pulling back now. This is still just looks like it's compressing, right? Overall, it doesn't get me very excited for ETH, and the fact that ETH had been the stronger coin yesterday and the last couple of days. I mean, now obviously it's taking more of a beating in BTC, right? Like that's what happens when we get a pullback is the market consolidates into Bitcoin. That's what happens, right? ETH BTC still doesn't look very compelling to me. You can take a look at SOL BTC. And I said last week that this looks like shit. Well, not that it looked like shit, that I just wasn't interested in it. It had 3 weeks of strength against BTC, and I said this is probably the top for SOL against BTC, and look at what happened. Right? Like, what does this measure? This measures the value of Solana versus one Bitcoin. Well, it had gone up for 3 weeks. Right here, when we had the close last week, when I posted my macro dashboard on Telegram, I said I think Solana is going to underperform. And what do we have? We can check out Sol ETH, and I said exactly what I said was ETH isn't very compelling to me, and Sol ETH looks like shit, so why would I want to touch an altcoin? That's, in not so many words, is what I said. Let's take a look here. Maybe we're finally going to get a bottom on Sol ETH, right? Although Solana is underperforming ETH right now, like it's had a more aggressive sell-off. But maybe this is where we're finally bottoming on Sol ETH. I don't know. But as we pointed out on the Solana chart itself, Solana looks the worst of the three. So this is a little bit conflicting. We'll take a look at tomorrow. I'll post in the Telegram. By the way, join the Telegram. If you're not, link to that is in my bio. I post charts way more frequently than I do on X. X is going to be, I'm using it more for like my insights and things that I've learned along the way and how I can apply that to the market. With more of my open thinking and live charts or more up-to-date charts in the Telegram. And then obviously the most in-depth here during these live streams. By the way, before I forget, just a mid-session, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment wherever you are, whether that's on X or on YouTube. Help me grow this platform so that I can keep putting these on and keep giving you these insights from my experience and my trading. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Okay, so Sol ETH, maybe it's trying to bottom here. Maybe Sol BTC is trying to bottom here. Maybe alts are trying to bottom here. Maybe BTC dominance is trying to top here, at least locally, right? Dixie, not much to go by. But that's my weekly macro dashboard. And if you guys want, I can share I can share this layout. You don't have to do much with this, right? Like this weekly range on BTCD has been marked out since August, right? And it's just I'm watching for the interactions off levels, right? It's like it's just a weekly overview, and you're not using this as a reason to take a trade. Let me press upon that. Let me stress that you don't look at this and say, okay, now I'm going to long this, or I'm going to short this. No, it's like, okay, how do I use this? It's where am I putting my focus in the market for the week? Like, there's so many things in this market to pay attention to. Like thousands of assets, FUD and news and rug pulls and devs this and blah blah blah. Any number of things. I don't have the mental capacity to monitor that much shit. I use this, my weekly macro dashboard. Let me zoom them all so you can see at a glance. Where should I be focusing over the days and week ahead? Well, this is suggesting to me maybe it's alts. As fucked up as it is, considering the way that the Solana chart looks itself, this is suggesting to me maybe it's in Solana. Conflicting, right? That's the beauty of taking this sort of macro overview look, is it may give you insights a little bit different than and shift your own perspective, right? Like I'm never married to any idea. If you're going to be married to ideas in trading, you're not going to do very well at trading. You need to be fluid. You need to adjust to information as it plays out. So maybe as contradictory as it is to my view on the Solana chart itself, maybe, excuse me, given what has taken place here, maybe it might be time to focus on Solana. Crazy. That's the beauty of markets, right? I'm not going to take any action on that at the moment. I'm going to wait and see tomorrow morning and tomorrow midday what this is looking like. Because if we're trading above this and we're trading back below this, it'd be a different perspective. My focus is going to remain still on BTC, but this is giving me a slight moment to say to myself, hey, maybe there's a reason to look at Sol. Let's just look at the Solana chart one more time, because yeah, I mean, okay, so what I can say is close below here, and this becomes that bearish daily breaker and H12 breaker off the weekly SFP. Doesn't mean that this doesn't hold as a local low, and we get outperformance on Solana against BTC and ETH up into here before it shoots to bed, right? Like you have a bunch of different moves, right? You're trying to go from leg to leg. The market always trades two ways. So maybe that's what takes place. Maybe that's what the Sol ETH and Sol BTC charts are trying to tell me, is that when this finds its bottom, and again, I'm looking for some more to take place here. There's still, as of yet, no reason to be in a trade here. You haven't even got an M5 SFP in here, right? So I have no reason. Yeah, I have no. You had one there, but I don't really love that. Maybe those Sol BTC and Sol ETH charts are trying to say that once this finds its bottom, and ideally I would love an H4 SFP down into here as the next trigger. I would like this to consolidate a bit, but that doesn't mean that's what has to happen, right? I have no idea how it's going to play out. As of right now, no reason to long from here. But maybe what plays out is that on the next bounce across the market, you want to focus on Solana over BTC or ETH. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? You got an understanding of my got an understanding of my weekly macro dashboard, how I'm using it, and how it guides my focus. Never as a reason to take a trade, but as a guide. Okay, everyone. We're going to wrap it up. Just under an hour and a half. We're tightening these up a bit. I would have liked to keep it to an hour, but I tend to get talky for some reason. I don't think of myself as a big talker, but for some reason when I do these streams, I just get into it. I fucking love talking about markets. I love talking about trading. I love digging in and seeing what price is trying to tell me. And this is definitely an interesting story it's telling me on Solana for the next coming days. If there aren't any further questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Let's just bring this back up over here. Do a quick recap. We looked at our daily close levels and our ranges on BTC, ETH, and SOL, our high time frame levels and a strategy for the days ahead. We have setups for longs of what we might be looking for, potential shorts later in the week, and we looked at our weekly macro dashboard. Once again, I am Rapture, and this has been Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions, live perps trading and analysis, the daily close edition, and our weekly macro dashboard. I want to let everyone know that joined live during the stream that I appreciate you all. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It helps me grow the show. Tells me that I'm on the right path and that you guys appreciate what I'm doing and that what I'm doing is helpful and useful to you and that you're learning and taking these trades. Don't forget to join me in the Telegram Rapture's trade book. You can find the link to that in my X bio as well in the description on YouTube for this video. Don't forget to follow me on X, Twitter as well. And on that, I am signing out. Let's ride out to a little bit of music. I appreciate you all. Have yourself a great start to the week, and we will catch up in a few days for the next New York Open session. Rapture out.